Alright, so just where I left off, so we've commented that this section here, so these are the functions that move the movie clip. We have then got to, because if you look here in the script, it's addressing another object called box, which we haven't created yet. Well, we have created the box, we haven't named it. So we need to select the object it's referring to, which is this, name it box, instance name of box. And then, so the other bit is it's attaching, so there's a dot, and then this is the property of that object. So this is the X property. Now it's in the minus direction, so this is basically any minus X values. So this is values in left-hand direction. Okay, so it basically moves the box 20 pixels in the left-hand direction. This next one moves the box in the along the X-axis. So if you think of a graph with the X-axis, which is horizontal, the Y-axis, which is vertical, this is moving the X in the right-hand direction, which is in the plus direction. Okay, 20 pixels in the plus direction. And finally, we've got the vertical axis. Now, Y, probably different to how you know the kind of axes that you're normally used to. The upper Y-axis is actually minus, whereas normally the upper Y-axis is plus. So this basically is inverted. So moving up the Y-axis is actually a minus value, moving down it is a plus value. Alright, so if you can kind of put all that together, you can see that these buttons are moving the box either left or right 20 pixels or up or down 20 pixels. So if we test that out now, I think everything we need is there. So if we test that out, hoping that's working, yeah? So you see that it's playing through, the animation is playing through, and we can move the animation around, so we can actually move it over the buttons at the moment. So that's you know, that's the move property, buttons functioning. So the next one is the rotate. So again, if we go back to the listeners here, we've got the rotate listeners. So there's just two of these, right or left, or clockwise and anti-clockwise, would possibly be more accurate. And again, to keep everything so it's easier to read, and this is a convention, the way this would normally be set out, is with the listeners at the top here, all in one place, and then the functions that change the properties at lower down here. So I think if we go to the rotate functions, just bring those in, bring the comment in too. Alright, we see that there's a lot of similarities there. So we're used to this now, the function, the name of the function that's being called by the listener. We'll remove the void because that's unnecessary. And you'll see this time though to box we have attached the rotation, so we're addressing the rotation value of this object. So rotation value of the box object, and we're moving it plus, which is to the right, or clockwise 20 degrees. Okay, and then with rotate left, we're moving it 20 degrees anti-clockwise. Okay, so if we do another test. Now, again, this is a debugging thing, so this is reminding me that I haven't named the rotate right, rotate left buttons. Now again, we want the name of the button to be exactly the same as the name in the script, so the script knows what we're talking about. So if we can copy these over, so copy rotate right button, click on the right button, paste that in. The same with the other one, rotate left. Okay, test again. The debug is now clear, no more errors. And there we go, rotate right, rotate left, clockwise and clockwise, 20 degrees at a time. Okay, so we'll do the same now with the scale. We'll go to the scale and you'll see the same apart from the names now, these. Just make sure your script is on your script layer there. So bring in the scale. Now we could actually have a go at typing this bit out ourselves. So if we think that if we concentrate on scale up, so if we go down here, we can put in the comment. We can say, right, we want to create a function. We can call the function on scale up, which is the name that we've called here, the name of the function. We need to specify that it's a mouse event. And we are applying, we're changing one of the box's properties. This time the box property is the scale property. So yeah, so we did a value of 0.2. So what we're doing here is, hang on, just go back. So it's a lowercase s there. So we're scaling. So this is scaling up. So we use the plus value, plus equals 0.2. Okay, and then we'll repeat that for the y value. Exactly the same amount. Alright, so what we're doing here is we're scaling. If we just scaled the x value, it would still work, but what it would do is it would stretch the box. It'd make it wider, but it wouldn't make it higher. By scaling x and y, then it's a uniform scale. Okay, so we're scaling by a value of 0.2 each time, each click. So that's scale up. So as you can see, scale down is going to be exactly the same, but these become minus values. I'm just putting the semicolon full stops after each of those. I'll double check my original. Sure I haven't forgotten anything. Yeah, so we look okay with that. Okay, the final thing is to name the buttons that we are addressing here. So scale up button, scale down button. Okay, I think like I've said before, it doesn't matter what these names are. You can create any name you want as long as the name that's attached to the instance here matches up with the name that's used in the script here. Alright, so we'll test that one out. I think we've done everything there. No, right, it's giving us, there's a bug here. Right, so it's sending us, there we go. I didn't rename the function, did I? So you see, so the function was called onScaleDown. So there we go. It should work now. Okay, there we go. You see you've got a nice uniform scale up. Just to demonstrate the point I made before, if we remove the scaling up the Y value momentarily, you should see that when we scale up, we stretch it. Yeah? Okay, so bring that back in. Okay, and then we've got just finally the fade, and then the play stop and visibility are more straightforward. So we'll just go through those. The fade, you see, very similar. You see with the fade, you might have come across the alpha property before, which basically, alpha is another word for transparency. So that's the property we're changing. Okay, we'll name the buttons. I find it's best to test as you go along, because then it's easier to identify the problem. If you input loads of code and then test, it can take you longer to find the bug. So now here we go. So that's not working. So here's a good example. So now it's not coming up with any errors here. So this is another type of error where the computer isn't detecting it. So we have to do a bit of an investigation ourselves. Can't see anything obvious there. Check everything's named. History, that one. Let's just try again. Ah, that's how it is working. Yeah, it is working. It's fine. Okay, and then finally we've got these on-off type buttons. So, bring in the listeners. I'm going to bring all three of these in. And then just the properties that they refer to. Can bring in all three. Actually, there's a few interesting bits to mention with these. Alright, now the listeners are familiar. If we look at the toggle visibility here, very familiar. The only bit that's slightly different is this bit here. Now, an exclamation mark like that means not. So what this is saying is, this is box property visible, so the box is visible. The only difference here is the exclamation mark, which means box is not visible. Okay. So it's basically toggling that on and off. So it's saying when you click it, box visible becomes not box visible,